Welcome to the Tank Podcast. In this week's episode, historian Faisal Devji traces the root causes of the endless wars in Western Asia, from Palestine to Tehran.
Apparently I'm getting a Shake Shack burger on the plane. Really excited about
How
this.
did you manage that?
No idea. They emailed me.
What, Shake Shack or... Like...
Delta did.
All good?
Hi, I'm Jenna Bliss.
I'm Jasmine Gregory.
And I'm Buck Ellison.
Well, I think I graduated in 2009 from SVA, School of Visual Arts, in photography. So it was like this kind of weird time when digital photography was taking over, but the school had yet to figure that out. It was hard to kind of like place yourself in that. And I remember feeling like I had really great internships, but then once I graduated, it was just kind of like, what do I do next in terms of everything, was just canceled, I guess.
I never thought about that like time period as also being a shift from like analog to digital.
Yeah.
So I was working in like television before, like as an assistant editor on different reality TV shows, like in that like time before and after the economic crash. I went from like loading tapes to like, actually no, it was still all tape, but it just went from like standard definition to HD. Anyway, it's just the analog to digital. It was like, whatever, it went from like 4:3 to like 16:9. I knew so many people that lost their jobs, had to like retrain, go back to school. But because I was working in television, in unscripted television, so like reality TV, there was also a writer's strike in television. So it was this perfect storm of a huge workforce that was at home with tons of TV channels that needed to be filled. And like the cheapest way to fill them was with reality television, especially because no writers were working on TV shows. So I was the only one that had work through the 2008 economic crash. I was actually doing really well.
That's me. Thank you so much.
But there's like that really good film, the J-Lo film Hustlers, about the 2008 economic crash. She's like a stripper. They're like strippers and it's like based on a true story where they like drug like finance guys and then steal their money, but like in a strip club. And they start doing it because the money gets really bad after the economy crashes and the finance guys aren't like paying as much as they used to. Anyway, so.
Oh, wow.
Well, Buck, your work directly engages with the idea of the finance guy. Could you talk a bit about that work, and are you were thinking about the material cultures of finance bros?
Yeah, that word's tricky. Finance bro. It's a convenient term. I try to always particularly with this work, Jack's Office, which imagines kind of objects that would be in a fictional banker's office. The goal was more precision rather than teasing or making fun of. So a lot of that was based on asking real people that work in the financial sector, like, what do you have in your office? And then, but also responding to, I think maybe we all come up against this, like this level of privacy that profession both demands and I think is convenient to employ, force me to make decisions kind of based on best guesses, or trying to get close to something that you don't have access to that comes up again and again in that work.
What do you feel like the target of the work is in terms of satire? Is there a specific person you're looking to make fun of, or is it a more complex process?
I'm making fun of myself because I'm doing things that I'm so grateful for this job because it lets me spend 8 months thinking in a not uncreepy way about what are the things that this guy would use, and would he put these towelettes on his armpits, and what would that look like? And there's absolutely both desire on my part and then kind of shame about that desire or ambivalence. And yeah, I certainly think if anyone's being made fun of in the work, it's me.
I mean, I think I was making or like poking fun at everyone. I mean, the artist is like the most annoying character in the whole film, and then obviously that's me. Or like how she freaks out, which is like how I felt, like what I felt like doing at an art fair, and that's like what inspired the work, was like being at an art fair, and being like, oh, I really need some water, and they're like, there's no water here, but there is free beer, and I was like, that's insane, like that's crazy. I don't know, I think about that, like David Foster Wallace, like, you know, his essays about like the famous one about being on a cruise ship, you know, it's like a supposedly fun thing I'll never do again. And also there is something like adolescent about his like knee-jerk rejection of it, and that's how I felt, like this sucks, this is like so like I can't believe like the world is like this. I don't, you know, like just like really like rejecting like what people have like acknowledged as just like how the world works. Like this is just the art world, you know, it's like rich people buy it, that's what keeps it running. But you're like, but it shouldn't be like that, you know what I mean? It's like, so I kind of just went with that feeling.
How are you integrating sort of the luxurious imagery? How are you critiquing it? What's your strategy with luxury imagery?
Just basically seeing it for what it is in this kind of like deadpan, kind of this deadpan way. Like capitalism works within this kind of family structure, and you know, just passing down this wealth through generation to generation, and how this kind of it's very exclusive, like this thing.
Can I just, because you were saying yesterday something about this that I thought was really interesting, like, because you said like if you could just take a photo. I mean, those ads are kind of perfect, you know, like what is it? The lines like, you're not buying a watch, you're holding on to something for the next generation. Like, so it's like literalizing like generational wealth.
Literally,
But then your work is like kind of destabilizing that in a way, because it's like being rendered by hand by you, and then you erase or muddy, I think it was the word you were using, the product, so then it becomes this intangible, because there's so much, it's not just the watch, but it's like everything that goes with the watch, and like how to talk, you know, how to be, all of those things are generation, you know, you inherit.
Right.
Isn't there a watch fair in that same
Watches and Wonders? Is
like
that
it like that in Basel, like like there's also a watch fair. I don't know. I'm wondering if living in Switzerland also influenced your watch.
Oh, probably. Yeah, I guess so. I mean, I think so. But it's also just being around, I guess, this kind of privilege where it's different than I think in the US, because like for instance, like during 2020, I think the whole world just completely fell apart. And then somehow I remember being in Zurich, and it was just like an easy, it was just kind of like people were having a great time. It's like this insular bubble where everyone loved it. And it was weird because everyone else was so miserable, but like Switzerland is already in a bubble because it's surrounded by mountains, and they've really kept their culture close, and it's very exclusive in this way. It's, you know, they're really not trying to have immigrants, too many of too many of them, you know.
What emotional register are you going for? Like, when the viewer sees the work, what do you want them to feel inside, or is that not something you think about actively?
I mean, I think about what draws me to it, and then viewers tell me they experience this as well, but like, it's always this feeling of like intense attraction and repulsion towards the same object. So seeing those Patek Philippe ads where like white fatherhood is being used to market something, they're really strange pictures. It's so beautiful to see them than what you do with them. But if you take the watch out of those images, you're like, what is going on here? Like, what is this relationship? What is shaving? Or this comes up a lot, I think, in advertisements, like bringing your son into manhood with shaving. So that's often like the starting point for work. So I'll see something in the world. Speaking of Switzerland and banks, I saw a UBS ad during Art Basel once, and the tagline was this man wondering, the question was, should I buy a Picasso? Which is funny, but also probably a legitimate like quandary for their clients. Potentially a good investment. So I'll start there, and then if the viewer feels that way as well, it's kind of up to them.
I was intrigued by your use of light boxes as well, and there was something to that which kind of reminded me of billboards in a way, or those sort of digitized billboards. It has the grain of commercial advertising.
Certainly, like you see them in train stations. They also have this kind of, there was this very like heroic moment in photography, probably early 2000s, before this market crash, where like the big boys, Jeff Wall was making light boxes, and then I was trying to combine like the aesthetics of Jeff Wall with also these Dusseldorf photographers, Thomas Roof, who used this mahogany frame and this white border. But I wanted to think also about that time when photography was fetching like $1 million auction records. The way that art is used by banks is often to lend legitimacy to something that's otherwise potentially like unsavory or seen as that.
What is it about the texture of reality images, that kind of slightly febrile, slightly crazed energy that allows you to do something that other mediums can't?
Well, True Entertainment is actually the name of the company I used to work for, like one of them. Another one was Original Media, which these names are, and they merged, I'm sorry, okay, they merged,
go.
And now they're called, so True Entertainment and Original Media merged, and they came up with the name Truly Original, which is like so terrible. And it's fine, they'll never hire me again. But they did it to get out of their union contract. True Entertainment is a part of like, okay, I call it a series, though I've only made 2 films, but I want to make more. And the first one was explicitly about 9/11, and it was using the form of the Apple ads from the earlier 2000s. It was like real people standing in front of a seamless white background, you know, kind of like the Benetton and Old Navy, Gap, all those, like it was like kind of the aesthetic of the time, this sort of smooth white seamless surface and like poppy colors, and so the Apple ads looked like that, and the computers themselves looked like that. They were like these crazy colors, and so I made a film with like based on like people's accounts of 9/11 with different subjects kind of in the same format as the Apple ads. And then I was thinking about this kind of pre-economic crash kind of opulence, because, you know, in the finance sector, they were making a lot of money, and people were living in homes that they couldn't really afford. There's like something almost like superficial about the economy, and there's something superficial about reality television. And I think that at that time, people were sort of starting to understand that reality TV isn't real. Yeah. But I think initially people sort of thought it was, and then this form came out that called scripted reality, which is what I was trying to play with, where it's like people acting as themselves. And so because I was working in the field at this time, like in reality television, I was dating this guy, and he was a producer, and he actually was working on a scripted reality show, not The Hills, which is what I was modeling the film after, but a different one. And he literally would write scripts and then fly out to LA and direct scenes for a reality show, the genre itself is like playing with its own like fiction. Like the last scene for the whole series of The Hills, they like pull out and they're like on a soundstage.
How was it framing your works within the past 20 years of what's come after?
I don't know where I read this, but people say that income inequality and the climate crisis are the two most pressing issues of the day. And this is not my thought. I've read this. I think it's Thomas Piketty, the economist, who said this. But we have like wealth compounding in the hands of the few at such a rate that it's not even fathomable to the normal person. And the effects that has on our democracy, I think we're clearly seeing in the United States, like that's a really scary thing. And apparently also our climate, like these extractive mining or deforestation is also incredibly profitable. So that's something I think a lot about, especially as someone who comes from a photo background. Like, what are the things at this point that we aren't able to see? Like 1 billion photos are made every day, but we don't have images of these really important things happening.
I don't really know, and I don't know enough about the art market in a way, like, or what's happening now, but I think there's some people that would say that we haven't like yet seen the bottom of the 2008 crash. I think that's a little different in the U.S. than Europe and other places in the world because of the U.S. dollar being like this global standard that we can just kind of like make more money, like print more money, and like. But if you look at the like Ben Bernanke and like the people that like bailed out the banks from 2008, like all their books are like, we did it, we are champions, we've saved the US economy, like we are heroes, and like their books are like how we, how we saved America from the second Great Depression, and that's like to me a very flawed like narrative of what happened.
And I guess if those, they say history is written by the victors or whatever, but if those people are still defining the narrative of what happened.
I mean, obviously, like the world is currently in like a crisis that I think is kind of unprecedented. And I mean, I actually think it is like relevant to talk about like Donald Trump because I think he is like epitomizes like the chaos of like our time, and like almost like his persona is like epitomizes like you're like, is it real? Is it not real? Like
reality TV stuff.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like, you can't write this. Like, so I went to the school in the US called the Rhode Island School of Design, and some people that graduated from there and started Airbnb. Yeah. And now this guy that I was in school with is the creative director of the White House.
What does that even mean?
Exactly. It was like a Trump-appointed like role. He was like an Obama Democrat, and who's now like this Airbnb guy who's now like on staff at the White House under Donald Trump. Like, I don't know, adding more gold lame. Like, I don't know what he's doing, but like, and also Airbnb has like the worst website ever. Yeah. So anyway, but I think there is like a huge cultural shift. And now in like the U.S. with all the like ICE deportation, I mean, it's like it's really like a terrible place right now, and I think some people are like, oh, maybe we need to like shift to a more moderate position, and like Trump wasn't the answer that we thought he was, but I think the art world is like also grappling with like how like the like I don't know the political conditions that we're dealing with, and it's like affected like all forms of it, like and it's like affected the economics as well.
I think it's kind of a necessary correction for artists in the art world. Like, we're not important in not as important as there's so much going on that's so much more urgent and requires our attention and engagement with There's multiple wars going on. There's genocide. There's ICE. Like my studio practice is not. I'm grateful that I get to do it and think through the world that way, but I don't think of it as this beat. I think we all. What does it say? Nicola was talking about that. We all accept the limits of what art can do, and I thought that was such a nice compliment.
But I think there's also something now where, like, these political ideas are being like grappled with in the realm of aesthetics. Like culture and aesthetics like are a part of that world in a way that like didn't feel like I don't think there was like I don't know what the aesthetic of the Obama era was. Like maybe it was just, you know, people like when Biden was elected, they're like brunch is back, you know, like life is good again. You know? And really, I remember being in Prospect Park. Biden had just been elected. People were like popping champagne and going like, ah, and I was just like, this is not good either. Like the Department of Homeland Security has this like Twitter account that they're like remixing like all these like films and stuff, and like they're like making like video art, like fucked up fascist video art, but it is still like they have like this like aesthetic that's like adopting like a lot of like like I don't know, like post-internet, I don't know, like remix art, like
and also like Norman Rockwell paintings, they're also adapting this kind of like after the World War II. I remember seeing a lot of these, but also remixing them to be these like fascist, like literally taking like quotes from. What's the book that Hitler wrote?
Mein Kampf?
Yeah, literally Mein Kampf. I live in Switzerland, but I went to back to the US for Christmas, and I remember being so destabilized. I felt like that was the most perfect term, but it made me feel crazy because of all of the things that were going on. And I think that's very much on purpose to make everyone feel so numb and so out of control, or just so like just not feeling able to really do anything. But yeah, I mean, you had like that's when Trump kidnapped the Venezuelan president. You had ICE. The killing of Renee Good and all of these other people, and then what else happened? There was like a series of different. He was gonna take over Greenland. I mean, it was like every day it was something different, and when I went back to Switzerland, there was like this sense of calm, but also it's like I couldn't get away from it. Being American, I am an American, so it was just kind of like this constant activation, if you will. But, you know, everyone, you know, in Switzerland, it's just like, you know, la-ti-da, like, oh, okay, like everything is perfect, everything is going great. And what's wrong with you, Jasmine? So, yeah.
I mean, I think that's like a new problem that we're like facing though. That's like the Department of Homeland Security Twitter account is like doing like what the like situation is to turn them on. Like what do we do? You know, like they're stealing our tools of like critique and like assigning new meaning to like form like to objects. And so I don't know, I feel like that's like a new problem that we didn't really have in 2008. I don't know.
To hear more podcasts from Tank, you can subscribe on all major podcast platforms or follow us on SoundCloud. The theme music for this podcast is by Himera.